Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Anthem. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and salutations. Today, bugs and fixes. Let's get to it. March 12th is going to be the drop for the next update, and there are a lot of fixes that they are putting into the game. Most importantly, most if not all of the crashes that caused PS4s to crash, shut down, and otherwise not do what they're supposed to should be resolved. Have all instances of that been fixed? Maybe, but for the majority of players, this should be a good fix. Additionally, we have less of a lag between when the Colossus gets knocked out of the air and when you can start moving again. So whether it's overheating, a heavy hit, run into a wall, what have you, you're going to bounce back a little bit faster, where if you, before you get hit and you're on Grandmaster 1 through 3, you're basically down, which prevented a lot of people playing the Colossus, and B, while playing the Colossus, jumping and flying anywhere, because if you get knocked down, you're a sitting duck. So that's good. Now, obviously, normalization and scaling is an issue in the game, considering a level 1 weapon does more damage than a level 30 masterwork weapon. What do I mean by that? The amount of damage that you do to an enemy is actually smaller, but the percentage of damage to their health is bigger. So a defender rifle, level 1, is going to do about 25% damage to an enemy versus a masterwork defender rifle, which is going to do less than 20% damage. So obviously there's some problems there. They're not going to be able to patch that in the March 12th update. It will be coming sometime later, but obviously they have to work on their algorithm with scaling so that when you're progressing, when you're leveling up, you actually feel a little bit more powerful. When you get into Grandmaster difficulty, your ultimates do next to no damage. Now that is something that they're changing in the patch. You're going to do a little bit more melee damage and ultimate damage, so you should feel a little bit more powerful. How much, I don't know. We'll see after the patch. Respawns in a group. When you go down in a respawn restricted area, there is an unlimited amount of time before you're allowed to get back into the action. This is really annoying, especially if you're in a group with people that you don't know. You get those 3 other blueberries, they're running around the map doing whatever. They don't notice you're down, or even worse, they don't care. And you're sitting there either until someone decides to come bring you back up, or until that boss gets taken out. How much fun is that? It's not. So not all of the areas, but most of the areas, they're going to give you a timer, even in respawn restricted areas. So after, say, 30 seconds, then you can respawn. So you do have that penalty, but then you can eventually come back. The idea is that someone on your team can bring you up a much faster, but you do have recourse, and you're not going to just sit there forever. They are working on free play to make it more exciting. That's not in the update. They are looking for ideas, I think. Now, that is the major stuff that's going on with the update. Now, what would I actually like to see, and what do I think of Anthem in general? Now, in general, I think that Anthem is and was initially built as a single-player game. And then at some point, someone had the idea to make it a multiplayer game. So instead of 1 person, it was 4 people. By that time, there was already a framework in place, which is why you have some of these things, like you only have the 3 little marks on the left side of your screen showing that you actually have people there. If you're looking around while you're down, you're not able to spectate anyone. You have to stay on your character, and half the time you don't even know where your teammates are at. If they're behind a wall, they are outlined a little bit, and there's no way to communicate unless you are in voice chat with them to say, hey, I'm down, because that little marker on the left hand of the screen usually goes by the wayside. Now, they should have either a way to spectate and or a way to let other players know that you're down, either an audio cue saying javelin down, or a visual cue, which there is a small visual cue, but after you've been down for 10, 15 seconds. You know, as soon as you go down, I think you should have an ability to give a little visual, even if it's just a little shake of your icon saying, hey, I'm down. Just drawing some way to draw attention to the fact that that player is down. All right, what else? Waypoints. I want to put a waypoint on Fort Tarsis. When I was going through the main campaign, I had difficulty navigating Fort Tarsis, and I would have liked to have been able to put a waypoint in. Certain missions, they tell you, oh, go talk to Yarrow, and they'll put a waypoint in there for you. So there's no reason why anyone shouldn't be able to put waypoints in there to where they want to go. Now that I'm familiar with Fort Tarsis, I can get around much more easily, but while I was learning the layout, it would have been really, really nice if I could put waypoints in. Likewise, I would love to see waypoints in free play. Now, it does make it a little bit difficult because of the vertical nature of Anthem. So you go to a specific area, is that on the base level, is that on the middle level, or is that on the top level that you want to go to? And getting there is going to change depending on what level you are wanting to go to. But just having an overall generic waypoint would be better than what we have right now, which is nothing. And one of the biggest things is scaling. Like, I don't know that I feel like when I get new, more powerful gear, I don't necessarily feel more powerful. I feel like it's just something different, not necessarily something better. So obviously, I mean, I talked about scaling and normalization before. They need to work on that. That is a serious, serious concern, because playing with just different items is nice, but you should also feel more powerful as your gear and your javelin score go up. Lastly, the mission and gameplay loop is very repetitive, and missions are very straightforward, where it's just kind of like, go here, find this stuff, defend this point, destroy these guys, move on to another point and do the same thing. And if you have a decent group, you're going to go through that in 5 to 10 minutes tops. There's no real depth to the missions, and I'd like to see a little bit more depth to the missions as far as, you know, what's going on. So, some of the flying does make it a little bit easier to get from point to point, and, you know, the mobility of the javelins does make fighting a little bit of a challenge, I think, on the development side. Well, that's it. Leave comments below what you think of the game and gameplay loop and all of that below, and what you would like to see addressed in the future. How to make the game better than what it is in its current state. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to ring the bell before you leave to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. And thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.